What's good, YouTube? It's Nash Trading back in the building. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my personal 25% strategy that I use for payouts. I know a lot of people out there use Top Step. They may use my funded futures, and on these platforms, they allow you to take 50% payout. But I want to introduce another strategy that you could use when it comes to payouts, so that you can have long-term stability instead of looking in a short-term perspective. So without further ado, we're going to dive straight into it. I got my whiteboard right here, so my whiteboard is going to be my helper. When it comes to videos like this, I'm going to have my whiteboards more often because I just want to sit here and I want people to take what's on the whiteboard and actually know what I'm saying. So without further ado, we're going to dive into it. So I call this the Nash 25% rule, and the objective is to build cushion and build long-term stability using trading as the anchor. So that is the objective, and we're going to dive straight into it. So we got 6 points, and we're gonna try to get through this as quick as possible. Class is in session. We're gonna try to run through this as quick as possible because I'm not trying to be here all day talking to the camera. We got the phone for the pointers because I need my pointers, man. So we got the phone right here. So without further ado, we're gonna dive straight into it. So I'm going to break down why 25% is better than 50%. So I'm going to break that down first. So let's say, for instance, you start your funded account at $0. So $0 is the starting balance, right? So let's say that you get to $500, and then you get to $1,000, right? So let's say that this is your midpoint, and let's say that this is your current point. So let's say that you start, again, we're gonna run over from the top. Let's say that you start at $0, then you get to 500, and then you get to 1,000, and 1,000 is your current point. So I always believe that traders should not take $500 to take 25% of $500 as they pay out. When you take 25% of $500 as your payout, let's say that you made $100 over 5 days to get a payout from Top Step, and they say that you're not eligible for 50% payout. Well, most traders would take that 50%, and 50% of that 500 is $250. So that means that when Top Step pays you out that $250, and let's say that was the end of the week, you got paid that $250, and then you get to Monday, now you're starting with $250 cushion. And I'm gonna go more into that of why that's not really what you want to do to build long-term success when it comes to payouts, right? So let's say that $500 is your midpoint, and then 1,000 is your current point. When you get to 1,000, let's say that you have five consecutive days of green. So let's say now you're eligible for payout at $1,000. Most people, they will take 50%. They'll take 50% of this 1,000 to have a $500 payout. That's not what you want. You don't want to have $500 of cushion. This does not make sense. The reason why you don't want to have $500 of cushion is because let's say that you take a major contract, and now you want to have a little more room on your stop loss, but to have a little bit more room, it requires $250. So if you take this $500 payout, and now you have $250 stop loss breathing room, now your brain is automatically thinking in fear. You're not thinking from a driver's seat standpoint when you're trading, when you're going to trade your cushion the next week. Now you're thinking in fear because you have $250 of drawdown room. And when you try to trade a major contract, you don't have enough room to play around with, right? You could trade micros, but I'm gonna do major contracts because a lot of people trade major contracts. So let's say, for a perspective, you decided to take 25%. Okay, cool. You take 25% of 1,000, right? You take that 25% of 1,000, which will give you $750. Tripping. Hold on. My math is not mathing. I repeat, my math is not mathing. I was saying, so let's now say that you have $1,000, right? But you take 25% of that 1,000. That 25% now gives you $250 as your take profit, right? As your take home. So you have 1,000. You decide to ask TopStep for 25% of your account balance. Now you take home $250, and I'm going to tell you why this is better than $500. We're focusing on building long-term success instead of worrying about short-term things. Short-term things don't matter. We're building long-term. See, you don't have to show everybody what you got going on. You do not have to flex your profits for people to validate that you're a trader. And maybe I'll go into another video where I talk about, you know, self-invalidation as a trader and how it could mentally mess you up. You're not worried about how people are perceiving you as a trader. You're worried about how you perceive yourself as a trader, right? So let's say that you have $1,000 and then you take 25% of that 1,000, you take home $250, right? Say you take home $250. Now you're down to $750 in the account. And now the $750 is your cushion. So now you're not trading from scarcity. You're not trading from fear. Now you're trading in driver's seat position. Now you're trading in driver's seat position, and that's what you want to be. You want to take 25% of that 1,000 to get you to 250, so that when you come around into the next week, you want to have $750 as your cushion, so that you could be in driver's seat position mentally and emotionally to get to your next goal, which may be $1,250 or even $2,000. And then you do the same method all over again. And we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of why I say to do this, because it makes sense. It makes total sense. I did this, and it showed me that a lot of traders are getting a lot of things wrong. So give me 1 second. So that was the overview, and now this is where the real lesson begins of why I say you should take 25% instead of 50%, all right? So let's break this down. Let's get into it. All right, let's go for a different color. Let's go for green. Cool, we can go for green, that's cool. All right, so rule number 1. Okay, 25% is strategy, while 50% is short term. All right, let me see. I wouldn't say short term. I'm gonna say it's logic, right? When you're taking 25% out of your profit, when you're taking 25% out of your account, you're thinking strategically, you're thinking long term, you're thinking, okay, if I take 25% out right here, then what am I looking at to be my next 25%? And how do I want to use this 25% now? We're going to get further into that later on. Maybe I'll do a video after this where I tell you what you could do with your payouts. But you're thinking about how you're going to use your 25% to build. Some people out there want to be traders full time. They don't want to be traded. They don't want to have a 9-to-5 and be traded. They want to be full-time traders. So when you think about this 50%, when you're taking out 50%, you're thinking logical, right? You're thinking short-term. That is short-term thinking. When you think with the 50%, you have short-term thinking. You're not thinking short-term. You're thinking long-term, which is why the 25% has more strategy. You're able to increase your cushion while also decreasing your payouts. It's called delayed gratification. And a lot of traders don't want to go through delayed gratification because delayed gratification, it takes long-term thinking. It takes long-term thinking. It takes thinking about not the now, but in the future. Well, let's see, in the future, I want to have kids in about the next 3 years, and maybe I want to build a house, and maybe I want to have 2 new cars. Maybe I want to buy my wife or husband a car. Maybe I want to retire my mom in the next 2 years. You're thinking long-term when you think 25% and you think strategically. But if you're just thinking about, I just want to show off, I just want to buy this car right now, show off, show my profits, show everybody that I'm really a trader or what have you, you're thinking logically, and you're also thinking short-term. So it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't mash well when you really think about it. And then also on top of that, a lot of prop firms feed off of people taking that 50%, because you get to $500 and you take that 50%. Now you're left with $250 cushion, and now you're wondering, can you really risk this, or can you really risk this, or is this worth risking? And now you're fearful, and now you don't want to take your setup because you don't have a lot of cushion. And that's what a lot of people miss. They miss the part of having cushion. So one is 25% is strategy, while 50% is logic. And again, 25% strategy is long-term thinking, while 50% logic is short-term thinking. So that's one. So two is simple. Cushion equals confidence. The more cushion you have, the more confidence you have in your ability to trade and your ability to take your setups. A lot of people overstep what confidence really means in trading. If you don't move with confidence and you don't move with the conviction of confidence in trading, you're going to always be chasing setups. You're going to always have fear of missing out. You're going to always miss the setups that's meant for you because you don't have confidence in your system. And a lot of people think that confidence just comes from trusting your system fully and entirely and trusting the setup, which it does, but it also comes from having cushion. In order to trust the setup, in order to have confidence in the setup, you first have to have cushion. Simple. A lot of traders don't have the money that they need in their account to make the money that they want to make, which causes them to have fear, which causes them to be in a scarcity mindset, and which causes them to hold on to their money and not really take that setup when they want to take the setup, or when they really feel like they should take the setup. So in order to avoid that, especially when you're trading a funded account, another thing, funded accounts are real money. It is not fake money like you think. Yes, this is not your money. You may have paid $50 for it. You may have paid $100 for the evaluation. You may have paid $250 for the evaluation, but still you pass the evaluation in order to get access to the prop firm's money. And now that you have access to the prop firm's money, you now have to think strategically. You cannot afford to think that this is a game, especially if you're in trade and trying to change your life. You cannot afford to think that this is a game. This is not a game. This is real money on the line. And a lot of traders get that confused because it's not their money that they're putting up for real. If you have cushion and you have $750, right, of cushion, and you decide to over leverage, you're playing with your future. You're gambling with your future. We'll get into that into another video too, but again, cushion equals confidence. If you have the confidence to take your setup, if you have the confidence within your cushion, you will be a-okay, and it will be easier for you to continue to build that cushion because you're trading with confidence, okay? And that's what that 25% does. It gives you more confidence while also building your cushion. So it's like knocking 2 birds with 1 stone out, but a lot of traders don't want to see it that way because they just want to flex, and this is not a flexing game. It's not a get rich quick scheme. Number 3, Number 3, delayed gratification builds full-time foundation and freedom. Let me tell you, I've dealt with this before. I'm not holier than thou. I've dealt with wanting to have things faster than what they needed to come at that point of time. I've dealt with not trying to deal with delayed gratification because I want it now. But as a trader, I've learned over time that delayed gratification is actually the way to building success. Again, that's why I said you don't need to be worried about how people perceive you as a trader, or if you don't have this and you're not really trading. Who cares? Because they're not seeing the building that you're going through behind closed doors. So who cares what they really got to say out loud about you, right? So delayed gratification builds full-time foundation and freedom. And a lot of traders are trading to get out their 9 to 5. A lot of traders are trading because they want to have full-time freedom. They want to have control of their life again. They want to buy their time back. They want to be able to explore other avenues. Use the 25% rule. This will delay gratification, but it will also help you get out your 9 to 5. It will also help you buy your freedom back, and it will also help you to build your future foundation so that you can work on other things. You can work on other crafts that you want to work on. So delayed gratification to build full-time foundation and freedom is so essential and is such a key. And a lot of traders miss out on that because they're thinking about the short term. They're thinking about now. Ooh, if I get this payout at 50%, I can get $1,500 and I can go to the club, pop bottles, or I could go rent a yacht for the weekend, something like that, right? And that's not what it's about. And a lot of traders get that wrong. So it's not about that, but that's part number 3. So now we're about to hop into number 4. I know a lot of y'all missing that. Number 4, we're rewarding discipline, not just results. A lot of traders are rewarding their results instead of rewarding their discipline. You need to reward your discipline more than you reward your results. And that's what the 25% rule does. It gives you the foundation you need to last long term in terms of you rewarding your discipline instead of the results. A lot of traders don't understand the importance of discipline when it comes to trading. Your discipline is so important. Let's say that you have a setup that you see that you want to take and it looks good, but you also know that news is about to come at 8:30, right when the market opens, and then they got news again at 8:45 and maybe news again at 9 o'clock, right? And you want to hurry up and get into the setup because you see that the setup looks good. Why would you take the setup if you know that all the news that's coming out? That's called being disciplined. That's called waiting for this news to come out and waiting to see how the market reacts to the news so that I can be disciplined to take my setup. And that's why a lot of traders go wrong at. They're not disciplined. They don't listen to themselves and they wonder why they're failing. You need to reward your discipline instead of rewarding your results. I was saying before my camera went out of focus, if you reward the discipline instead of rewarding the results, you're setting this. It's like, for example, with dogs. People would do, teach dogs tricks and stuff like that, and they have treats in their back pocket or their side pocket to give the dog a treat so they could continuously do the treat, not the treat, but do the trick, right? What that's saying to the dog brain is that every time I do this trick, I get a treat. What you're saying to your reward system in your brain, every time you take a 25% payout instead of a 50% payout, you're rewarding your discipline and your long term, and you're rewarding your discipline, but you're also honoring your long-term stability instead of rewarding your short-term discipline and honoring what you want in that moment right now, which is instant gratification, right? So reward your discipline. Reward this. That's good, right? Don't reward this. That's bad. Don't reward that. I'm gonna do this, and this is gonna be almost the last point. You have to choose today. Which one do you want? Do you want long term or do you want short term? It is completely up to you on what you want. But I'm telling you, the thing with trading is you're trading to build long-term stability. You're not trading to build short-term stability. You're not trading to flex in people's face to give you validation that you really are a trader. You're trading for long-term stability for your future generations and for your family in the future and your family now. That is what you are trading for. A lot of people get lost in the sauce, and a lot of people miss the point of the plot. The point of the plot is to trade for long-term stability. Now, if you want to trade for short-term stability, you're welcome to do so. But if you're a trader that's watching this video right now and you're very serious about your payouts, you're very serious about building long-term stability, then you know long-term is the way to go. So that is the final point. And lastly, that is the second to last final point. The final point is this. Message to traders, right? Here's my message to you as a trader. You using this 25% rule will help you build, again, like I said in this whole video, will help you build long-term stability. What do you want in the long term? What do you see yourself as in the future as trading as your anchor? What do you see yourself as? What do you want? Taking a 25% payout will help you to see what you want. You may take that 50% payout and then go spend it on other things, and then you may think about it like, dang, maybe I should have took this 50% and did this. Maybe I should have took this 50% and did that. But even if you take this 25%, you need to be thinking long term with the 25%. Once you take this 25% payout, what are you going to do with it? And that's going to be the next video. In the next video, we're going to talk about what to do with your payouts. You may see me in the same clothes, you may see the same backdrop, but that's because I'm going to be recording this video. I'm going to be recording the next video after this video. So we're going to continue this this segment. My message to you: think long term, do not think short term, do not think about flexing. Stop trying to validate yourself through other people and start giving yourself your own validation. Start doing what you need to do as a trader so that you can get to where you want to be personally. Stop thinking from other people's lens. Stop looking through other people's lens. Stop thinking from other people's perspective, because their perspective is not your perspective and not what you want. So in this next video, we're going to break down how to properly use your payouts. So this was Nash Trading. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me how the 25% rule works out for you. Tell me how you use it in your everyday trading. But it's been Nash Builder in the building. What? It's been Nash Trading in the building. Signing out. Peace.